I want to challenge any woman who dates or is married to a cishet man to pursue one of the most time-consuming hobbies you possibly can, preferably one outside the home, so that you get a taste of what it's like to be a man, particularly a man married to a woman. And I'm going to talk about marathons again. But this time it's because I have a different angle on it, and I think like it doesn't have to be marathon, but I want women to take note of what these women are doing and learn from it. Because at the end of the day, just like most systems, or maybe all systems of oppression, a lot of times it boils down to labor. It's a labor issue. Time being part of that. And women don't have time, and I think you need to take your time back in any way possible. Men's relationship to time is fascinating. They waste more time than any group of people I've ever been around. They don't appreciate time, and they have an abundance of it compared to, especially the more privilege they have, right? So let's get into this article. I just saw it the other day. There's a follow-up to the I've already talked about the marathon stuff for a while, y'all, but I have even more to say. And this is like I want to show the examples of women gaslighting themselves. I want to show examples of men supporting women who are putting themselves first. Because even when we put ourselves first, not all women, but whenever we try to put ourselves first, we're still not putting ourselves first. Like, we are so far on the codependency spectrum, all of us, that even when we like overcorrect, it's still usually here, right? So sometimes you got to make a hard left in order for the steering wheel to go anywhere straight. You know what I mean? Before I get into all this, please follow my Patreon, because you may never see any of my work if you don't, because the algorithm may not tell you when I put anything out in the world, because that's what it's been doing lately. So please have a free tier, and I also post free stuff over there sometimes. Anyway, let's get into it. So I read this piece in The Guardian today, and it's so good because it gives even different stories than I've seen anybody talk about. And I really think that it's not about marathons. It's not about running. It is about this example of a very time-intensive, oftentimes addictive type obsessive sport that men do in order to avoid their families, avoid responsibility, center themselves, sometimes financially abuse if it's a different hobby. It's hobbies in general, and men's time and their relationship to time, and them not appreciating our lack of time because they hoard everything, including resources, money, and time. So they have a term for it. I'm like a single parent for months while he trains. The partners of fitness fanatics who are left holding the baby. There's a term for men who golf, because it's the same thing. They're gone all the time. They have golf widows, right? You could add the word widow to anything that men do, because they will literally just abandon their family and everything to center themselves if they haven't been unpacking the patriarchy and entitlement and selfishness that comes with that, right? And or if they just don't like the family they created, or the wives that they convinced to marry them. And or if they have an addiction that they haven't really dealt with, and they just use fill in the blank to avoid drinking all the time, or whatever it is, right? But they're calling it, oh my God, how do you say that word? Lycra, widow, spandex widow, running shoes window. I don't care what you call it. Widow. Anytime you have the term like that, that means men are exploiting women usually, and burdening them with more labor as if they aren't already in every other way, if they're not keeping their entitlement in check. I love the opening of this. He's treated like a hero when he does marathons. This right here. Marathon runners tend to be the fireman, like the hero, search and rescue, hero complex dudes a lot of times, who just want praise and to be seen as like these amazing, and they love having their little wife and kids at the finish line who are like, yeah, even though you literally can't watch them at all. You go and stand in the heat for hours and hours and hours waiting for them to finish. You get that glory moment, right? But this right here, but once, while we were watching him cross the finish line, my aunt leaned over and said, "You deserve the medal." I love that. You deserve the medal. for doing everything behind the scenes so he can do all that training. And this aunt is so right. I am telling you, I know this as I know marathon runners, and I know the partners of marathon runners, and the stuff that the partners are doing, usually women, behind the scenes is insane. And we're going to get into that in a minute. They don't get credit for any of it, for being a crew, but boy, are they doing all the work. It's like a movie. It's like a movie. The actor or the director is just like, look, they get their Oscars. Meanwhile, it was 300 people who made that thing happen. Nobody knows their name. They get like a nod in the speech, like, thanks for the cast and crew, right? But none of these heroes are ever working alone, despite, especially in the US, this individualistic hero mindset and like hero's journey, as if anything is ever done alone. Behind every man is like at least 7 or 10 women who have been making him successful, but usually especially a couple, mom and wife or partner. And behind every woman who's successful is a man that she survived, a man who she somehow did not let her neg her down. So she succeeded either despite him, or once she got rid of him, or in a rare occasion, he fully supported her. And we're going to see an example of that in a minute. But the women who don't ever fulfill their dreams, there is usually a man behind that. You will almost always find a man behind a woman who has failed all of the things she wanted to do, because these men will be parasitic and vampires, right? If you let them. So it's talking about, we all know somebody probably at some point who's run a marathon or a triathlon. God save you if you know somebody doing that. But what about the Lycra widows and widowers who are solo parents, fix bikes, sleep in cars while crewing, and diligently stick chicken in the air fryer 5 times a day to support their sports mad partners? Where's the me time after they've done bedtime for the 111th day in a row because their partner has been out on a 6-hour training ride? Oh my God, they are roasting. This right here, this is not what you see. They may be like, yeah, I run 5 times a week, la la la. But what they're not saying is that there's somebody doing all of this so that that person can do it. And who is usually willing to do all of this? Women. Rarely will you see a man willing to do all this. There's a couple. There's one in this article we're going to see in a minute, and good for him. But in general, it's usually women doing this. Stop doing this. And men, if you want, I'm not saying stop doing it entirely. I'm just telling you, you need to have a lot of hard conversations. If he's like, hey, I'm going to run a marathon. No. And men, if you are married to women, you're not just going to decide to do a marathon. This is a group decision. This is a discussion. This is a negotiation. And women, do this. Do this, because I swear to God, sometimes it is only something like this that forces men to step in and do their fair share. Not always. Not always. Some men are doing it on their own, but sometimes it literally takes something that forces you out of the house regularly to make these men parent the children they created. So Julia, they're using, this is anonymous, because this should be a divorce right here. Anyway, if she said that, used her name, I promise you her husband would not be okay with this, because she is, has run 6 marathons. 6. That means this has been going on for at least 6 years, probably, because they usually run 1 marathon a year, because they have to train for like 6 months. Anyway, he started when their children were 2 and 5. I want you to pay close attention to when men decide to pick up one of these sports. It is usually when the kids are super small, and it is a way for them to force me time during the hardest years. I'm not a parent, but I am an aunt, and I used to be a nanny. If you have a 2 and a 5-year-old at home, good luck. That could maybe be the hardest age range to have 2 children in at once. Tell me this was not an intentional decision. Couldn't wait till they could, both be a little, nope, when they're 2 and 5. Anyway, he runs 5 to 6 hours each week after having been at work all day. And again, at the weekends, that's what in British English, they say at the weekends, not on the weekends. I learned that just in the last few years. Anyway, when I need this help, I effectively become a single parent for 4 months while he trains. Single married mom. My guess is that she's probably already a single married mom on some level, or he would not even have this level of audacity. But now it's going to be amped up by like 100. It's not just the hours lost to training. He once did an insane 100-mile run through the night. You're supposed to do it in a relay team, but he wanted to do the whole thing by himself. He collapsed at the finish line and was in bed for 2 days. Cool. Every time that these men are like, destroy their bodies trying to be a big old hero, the only man who did it all by himself instead of a relay team like a normal person would, who pays the price? When men do these hobbies, whether it's marathon or climbing or something, and they're like, I'm just going to do this thing because I want to do it and feel good and get, a medal. And then they get injured or become disabled because of such a bad injury. Who's taking care of them? Not other men. Not other men. It's always women who clean up men's ambitious messes that they make. And even if they aren't married, there's going to be a woman who's going to come in there probably. Or married, maybe a very nurturing man. Or somebody, but it's usually sister, mom, girlfriend, wife, or friend. There's a lot of, you're a bloody legend from friends. Exactly. They love this. They get off on this. They're a hero. Men who are heroes in the community that other people look up to, I always side-eye them. I'm like, what price is she paying for this? The more like heroic they are in the community, the more I'm like, let's talk to the wife. Because men who have something to prove are usually insecure men, and insecure men are the worst people to date and even worse to marry. They take that insecurity out on someone, or they beat themselves up to prove something to daddy who never paid attention to them. And guess who pays for that? The wife! Meanwhile, I had to do all the school runs and even serve him dinner in bed because he couldn't walk down the stairs for days. And when he stops drinking on New Year's Day until the London Marathon in April, it's just tedious. So then Sarah Sanders says she can empathize. You remember her husband Phil's first Lansing, 874-mile bike ride that takes 10 to 14 days. See, it could be a bike too. Marathons don't have to be running marathons. A lot of times there's all these other things that they can do. They will find something to become obsessed with and spend all of the family's money on and time. Especially if they have unresolved trauma, and lean into escapism as a form of dealing with all their problems. And a lot of that, if they literally would question patriarchy and indoctrination of like not feeling things, not having emotions or dealing with their emotions, not asking for help and all the things they actually like. A lot of this isn't even like therapy thing. It is like, stop. You are literally acting out a belief system that is killing you and all your relationships too. So again, like, yeah, maybe they need therapy too. Maybe they have, but a lot of this is literally just indoctrination into like, I want to be, and so the more like trauma they have from the past, the worse this stuff usually is. Look at this. 2000, it's too relaxing. So when he first started doing this stuff, it was like, oh, cool, he's gone for 2 weeks. 2 weeks of relaxing time alone. But by the time Phil did it a second time in 2021, they'd had 2 children and were staying at her parents' house, and things were hard. You know what? Men could do this as much as they want when they're single. Once they get married and have children, especially when they have children. Yeah, men, I swear to God, they just think that they should be able to live their lives like nothing has changed when they get married and when they have children. So many of them are like, what? Now I have to give up all this stuff? Yeah, because you expect her to change. You expect her, you know she will. Her body will change if she has your kids. Everything in her life has changed. We know it will change, but men are like, nah, everything's fine. Why should I have to change? I want to be 4 forever. in my mind and a bachelor forever out in the streets, and I want to be the king baby forever in the home, so I get first dibs on her. When training ramps up close to the challenge, things can be tough. He will say, I probably won't be there for the school runs or bedtime, and you can feel a bit like a single parent for a little while. All right, I'm just going to say it right now. Sarah, I think you need to go get some help with communicating your needs more and putting your foot down, because what is happening here? Here we go. This is gaslighting in real time. But I'm proud of him for doing what he does. He also raises money for cancer charities because he lost both of his parents to cancer. So there's another reason why. Exactly. Let me guess. This man tells himself he's doing this for charity, for cancer. And maybe that's what he truly believes. He probably does. Because why? Maybe he never dealt with the death of his parents, which is a really big thing. But men who will not deal with their emotions and grief and big things are like, I know, I'll screw over my whole family to go run from my feelings. But I'm raising money and I'm a hero and I get high fives and trophies at the finish line. Do you see this? Men who will not deal with their entitlement under patriarchy and their trauma from the past become the most entitled king babies ever. And they harm their children and their wives. And then they're like shocked when she files for divorce. And they're like, what? How could you? I was just married for charity. Shut up. Question yourselves. Maybe. And she needs to speak up more. What are you doing? You are literally co-signing the lies he's telling himself, that he's just doing this because of charity, wants to be a good man. And maybe he really believes that, or maybe he's literally hiding behind that and he knows it. Stop believing that. You're literally justifying all this. Now he's training for first triathlon. Great, Sarah. Sarah, stand up. He's always conscious of how it affects the family life. Really? That's worse. He's conscious of how it affects the family life and he still does all this crap? Sarah, you got bigger problems. I always say, it's fine. Oh my God, this is like the one I said yesterday. It's fine, we've never been on a trip before. You never take me anywhere. It's fine, it's fine. Stop doing this. It's not fine. You know it's not fine. Stand up. Use your words. You got to face your fear of this man leaving you, because this is being dishonest with yourself and him, and everyone in your family is going to suffer by pretending you're okay with this. You are so not okay with this, you went and talked to the Guardian about it. Like, so many women will complain online about their husbands, but will never have that conversation with them. Or they'll have it and they're like, no, I'm proud of you. It's fine. This is people pleasing. This is codependency. This is her. This is her. Happy. And then she becomes a Karen, full of rage, does a lot of harm in the community. Anyone she has power over, she's a nightmare, because everything's fine at home. I swear to God, women, we could all, the world would benefit from women who would be honest with ourselves and honest with who we're really pissed at. I'm fine. No, you're not. But, you know, you do get to the point where you lose patience. Yeah. The problem is she's going to lose patience with the wrong person. I promise you. She's going to blow up someone's life. Take it out on her kids. This rage is not just going to go away. It's building. Sarah, you are a ticking time bomb. You're going to become a menace to society, especially if you're white. If you're a white woman and you have all this rage that you're not dealing with because this man is exploiting your time and knows how it impacts your family but doesn't care. Yeah, please, Sarah, get some help. And there's a little part of me that just wants to blame things on him because he's not there. Make that part bigger. It's too small, Sarah. I know I'm getting worked up, but y'all, I have been using my quiet voice in Greece for 2.5 weeks, and I am hyper. And I know I sound like I'm being really mean to Sarah, but you know what? Sometimes it takes sometimes it takes a little bit to wake people up. I needed it. I still need it. I will tell myself all kinds of crap, and then someone just throws water in my face with a very like, hey! And I'm like, oh my God, oh my God. So I'm not trying to be mean here because this is social conditioning and it's codependency probably, and maybe her own family systems issues. But go to therapy, Sarah, and get madder. You're not mad enough. You are, but you won't face it. You won't look at it. And your anger will, at the right person, will actually help solve your problems. But this is going to a very bad place. But the impact has positive on their family life. Their children now, aged 9 and 4, are both interested in cycling and running. Great. First of all, they probably would have gotten into outside sports regardless, because kids oftentimes do. They have a lot of energy, but even great. But you really want them to, like, they're probably only doing this because your husband's pushing them to do it. We know that, I mean, women do this too. You know, if you were in the cheerleader in high school or wanted to be, and all of a sudden you're obsessed with your daughter being a cheerleader, maybe you are this too, right? But so many men will try to force their sons to, and they're both their kids, especially if they have a little tomboy, to be just like them. And then kids all of a sudden wonder why they're obsessed with the Eagles. Philadelphia Eagles, right? Not the band. Maybe the band too. Or they're upset, you know what I mean? Like anytime like a son does exactly what his dad did, I'm always like, what's going on there? Not always. But I'm like, I feel like there's somebody was pushing someone to do this, or somebody didn't feel loved enough. And I don't know, maybe their dad was gone all the time running, that they're like, I know, I'll get into running too, so dad will hang out with me. You know, which is one reason why I hate football, American football. I will never watch another game in my life because I watched it all the time just to be near my dad because that's all he wanted to do. I hated it, but I'll sit next to you. We'll watch this crap, but I'll do anything to be able to spend time with you. What do you think this is about? Huh? Do you think it's because they just won't like love cycling and running, or is it because he's obsessed and not there? And here it is. And the runs are key to Phil's well-being. That is a problem. I don't think women understand this enough. If your husband is obsessed with running, but it's a healthy outlet. No, that's not an outlet. That is like an addiction. When this man gets injured, good luck. Good luck. What you're going to get is probably an alcoholic or something else. If a man is using escapism and becomes obsessed with something, you should be concerned, even if it's a healthy outlet, because this man will get injured one day. And when he can't run, guess what? You're stuck with a monster in your house. If he hasn't been out for a run or cycle, he'll start to get a bit moody. Oh, I bet that's an understatement of the century, Sarah. A bit moody? This is the other thing. Men who can't do their hobbies, either A, they're going to be in a bad mood because they just need their fix. Have you ever hung out with a dry alcoholic? Like an alcoholic who hasn't really he's sober, a dry drunk, sorry, whatever the word is, who's gotten sober but hasn't really dealt with what that inside stuff, spiritual stuff, emotional stuff, trauma maybe, whatever it is, it's driving him to drink. If he hasn't dealt with that, have you been around a dry drunk? They are worse than drunks. Sometimes people just wish they'd go back to drinking. So a bit moody. If he's a bit moody on a day that he can't run, what do you think 2 months recovering from an ACL surgery is going to be like? Sarah, good luck. Good luck. Do not think that a healthy addiction is good. If a man is addicted, obsessed, not just passionate, but obsessed and addicted to anything, even good things, you are in more danger than you realize. Something is going to stand in the way of him getting that fix. And if he finds something else to put in its way, which is still not solving the problem, he is going to be a nightmare. Moody is not even the right word for what he's going to become. It could be not just to him, but this is what happens with men. I'm telling you, as somebody, I did a reported piece in the Washington Post about this, of men who were climbers, and as soon as they couldn't climb, they spiraled into alcoholism or whatever. But climbers who get injured and can't climb, nightmare. I know this from personal experience in the climbing world and reporting on it for the Washington Post. I'll try to remember to put that link in the description. Remind me if I forget. Louise Woolcroft often feels like her husband Colin's intense training regimen takes over their lives. Yep, I hear that all the time. The most challenging time was when he was working towards his Ironman. Don't ever let someone you're married to do an Ironman unless they're like, you get in writing what the conditions are. He was trying to lose a bit of weight and probably under fueling, and he was hangry for about 9 months. Again, hangry and moody, understatements. It can also stop Louise planning her own fitness challenges. Oh, and this right here. She did a 60-mile bike ride herself last year, but having both of them training was a problem. And if this man is like abusive in any way whatsoever or just super selfish, so it's, kind of, whatever, kind of abuse because he's exploiting you. As soon as you're like, I'm going to do this thing, he's like, yeah, me too, I'm going to do a marathon. Who do you think is going to win in the arm wrestle for time? Spare time is a labor issue. Spare time is, it is literally at the heart of so many of the problems of patriarchy playing out in marriages. Time. Who gets spare time? And it's usually not the women. So if you are competing with spare time because you want to do this one thing, he's going to be like, yeah, me too. And then you might as well just quit now because he's not going to, you know what I mean? Unless you actually know how to set boundaries and stand up for yourself. Men are going to take and take and take and take and take anything you give them. And if they're really entitled, they're going to steal it from you. I'm telling you, watch out how men behave in this stuff. They're going to tell you a lot about how they think of you, how much respect they have for you, and how selfish they are and how entitled they are. And it plays out in just even something like a hobby. I felt like the kids didn't get enough of our time. So who's going to think about that? You think men are usually thinking about that? Some are. Good dads are. But it's always women who are going to be like, is someone, the kids need more of it. Like, this is what we do. We think about the impact on everybody too much. So that's why I want women to be way more selfish, because our default, it raised under patriarchy, is what do they want? What do they need? What do they think I should do? What do they deserve? What are they entitled to? Instead of being like, what about me? Right? So I'm not disagreeing with her. The kids do need both parents, but she needs to stop being a martyr. But if she's in an abusive relationship, then that's not even possible. So now I'm hesitant to sign up for anything. Colin says he will support me, sure. But I can't see the space for me to step into, whereas he just does. Honey, you are this is terrifying. I'm glad you're speaking to us. I'm glad you used your first and last name. I hope you see this. He just does what he wants. And this is classic nice guy. So this is why I'm telling you, sometimes it seems like just arrogant frat boy type men are, if I had to choose, sometimes I'd rather have that if I had no choice. Because these nice guys who are like, yeah, I love and support you. I support you. And their actions don't match their words. They're all about female empowerment and they're feminists and all this crap, but this is what they do behind closed doors. These kind of men will drive you insane. They're just, right? But their actions are, right? I'm sorry, I am so hyper right now. I'm really worked up. This marathon topic gets me so worked up. A recent study by Sports ASICS found that more than half of UK women are dropping out of stopping exercises completely. And 80% felt not having time was the barrier. This is what I'm saying. Time. I want us to talk way more about time. Time is what so much of patriarchy is about. And white supremacy culture. And capitalism. And all the things. It is time. Because time is a precious resource that you never get back, and it is priceless. And women are, when it comes to men, are the least entitled to it. So we have to fight for our time. Our men are just like, yeah, I'm gonna do my thing. Okay, now I want to change direction, because I want to give an example of what happens Not always, but when a woman does a marathon, and how different that looks, and also what it looks like when a man does what women do, but he doesn't have that social conditioning that he has to martyr himself at all costs. So we can actually learn from this particular man and men in general who are very supportive of their partners, but also are really good at staying in touch with what they want. I swear, like, men are so selfish and they're conditioned to be so selfish, but if they do enough work on themselves, they can come into the center by learning from women and the way we are socialized, how to be more thoughtful, how to be more mindful of the impact that everything we do and how it's going to affect everybody, how to consider the whole group and all kinds of stuff, right? Just all the things that women are socialized to do. But the problem is that we're so far over here and like, oh my God, what is everybody? This, it's like, it's codependent, right? So they are individualistic and we are codependent, and neither one are healthy. So if we just try more and more to learn, like, lean into that selfishness more, we might be like this. Does that make sense? Anyway, so there's this organization that was set up to combat this gender sports gap. I don't know, it's called 10 Iron Women or something like that. I can't read that. What is that? That's a weird name. So this woman, Sarah Curtis, met her now husband, Kit, around the time that she was doing this, okay? Listen to this. When training ramps up and day-long cycle rides begin, Kit admits it can be difficult. If the couple go on a weekend away, the bikes have to come too. A wedding in Spain fell during a peak training, so lots of organization was needed to make sure it could continue to go unbroken. Like, I want people to think about this. Like, deciding to run a marathon or bike a marathon is not like, oh, I'm just going to do this thing. You literally have to revolve your whole life around it. Every vacation, everything you do, you end up having to fit this into it. I know marathon runners. They've told me about this, and I know partners of marathon. You would not believe how much this takes over your life. It is a huge commitment. But Kit, let's learn from Kit here. I usually do not learn from men. Most things I do not listen to men about, but there's one thing they're really good at. It's being selfish. But when they're being very supportive of a partner, but hold on to a part of that non-martyring thing, you know what I mean? Like, okay, look at this. He admits it can be difficult. Whereas some of the women in the earlier, and I know this is social conditioning, but it starts with admitting it. Not be like, no, I really like it. I mean, he's doing it for charity and for cancer, and like, it's good. It's good for him. He needs it. But I hate it, right? Start with, this sucks. I'm being supportive in this ways, but this is how it impacts me. Be honest with yourself and your partner. Okay, y'all, I know it's very weird that I'm like, let's listen to Kit. But I just think it's a good example because I really actually learned how to be more selfish in a good way from men that I was hooking up with. I was like, dang, look at you taking care of yourself. Being thoughtful. I wrote about this for Glamour magazine. I learned from this Belgian dude I hooked up with how to center myself and be thoughtful at the same time. He had to get up early. He didn't sleep well in beds with other people. He had to get up at 6 a.m. And like, basically he was like, dude, I'm having so much fun. I would love to keep cuddling and I really want to spend more time with you. I just want you to know that I don't think I should stay over because I won't sleep well and it's going to ruin my whole next day of travel. This dude was just passing through town because I have to get up at 6 to catch a train and like, I've already paid for a bed at this hotel down the road and I really need my sleep. But it's not personal. Like, this dude was so thoughtful but did what was best for him and us. Because I didn't really want this dude sleeping in my bed. I sleep terribly, but it never occurred to me that I could just be like, hey, that was fun, bye. This is it right here. This is the title. This is literally when I went into a deep dive of how I just realized from a dude I hooked up with who was really respectful and kind and like really good at hooking up, but also knew how to get his needs met, and like sleep without hurting my feelings. So I really did. If you know men who are really thoughtful and kind and have a good emotional intelligence, you can learn a lot from them, because they have not been brainwashed to just give usually. And I found that good balance. I don't know, whatever, or don't listen to me. The build up to the events can feel all consuming. But when it comes, listen to this. This is the kind of partner you do not have a partner like this, and you date men and marry men, that don't bother getting married, because they will exploit you. They can't help it. But when it comes to the culmination, no, they can't help it. I'm sorry. They can help it if they want to. If they wanted to deconstruct patriarchy, they would. Anyway, when it comes to the culmination, it is amazing. He describes seeing Sarah cross the line of that first Ironman as super emotional. I knew how much work had gone into it. I was in tears with her. You know, one of Anthony's friends in his men's group, his wife is a conductor, like a conductor, all over the world. And they came here and we got to see her do this thing. Sorry, it's not too. And he was in the audience, and he is like so nervous for, like, this man is so proud of her. And yeah, when we were watching it, Anthony leans over and he goes, I could just imagine myself watching you give a speech in front of a bunch of people and just being so emotional watching you and so proud and so nervous. And like, that's what he already does with like online stuff. And when he sees me do shows, you know, he's seen me do some smaller shows here, but like, if your partner is not your biggest fan and it's a man, he is your biggest enemy. Even if he doesn't know he is. Because seriously, behind every failed woman or every woman frustrated or angry at herself or who's lost herself is a man who is her biggest hater. Even if he doesn't know he's doing it, he's doing it. He's not your cheerleader, he is your hater. Even if he doesn't hate you, that conditioning has taught him to feel entitled and take more than he gives. Kit sees his role as support, from understanding and validating her feelings, exactly, or insecurities, to fixing her bike. Exactly. It helps immensely that I'm behind the cause with her. By nature, I'm quite a happy supporting role. I imagine if you were competitive yourself, it might not be so easy. See, now this right here, you know, sometimes like I've even asked Anthony, I'm like, how can you just I'm like, I don't understand how you are just not not jealous of me the way most men have been in my life, are not sabotaging me, or because I'm, professionally more successful in my craft than he is. Because I've been doing it longer. I've been doing it for like 20 years. I've dedicated most of my adult life to this. And so it really confuses me, because I know most men are so insecure and or competitive, and he doesn't even understand my question. Because he's always been a part of like team sports. He loves being in the support. It doesn't mean he doesn't ever want to like lead or shine, but he really loves being part of a collaboration, part of the team, and he doesn't feel the need. I think of it like Danny Moder and Julia Roberts. Like, she's on the camera and he's the one who makes her look good. Like, he's very good cinematographer. If you don't know what a DP does, it's a very highly respected position to be the director of photography. I don't know, maybe he was like the cameraman or whatever. But either way, they're both like, one is in front of the camera and the other is behind the camera, But most men want to be the star. Most men want to be in the spotlight, main character energy, and they want women, just like their mommy, to be in the audience being like, yay, or at the finish line of their dumb marathon being like, yay. So finding a man who is supportive, but also not passive, is really key. So it's not just Kit that we can learn from here, though. Sarah is now considering a marathon. While their daughter's arrival has made training more complicated, she thinks that It's more important than ever that she continue to carve out that time for herself. Yes, Sarah. The other woman's name was Sarah, right? So this is the example, the hope. The other Sarah is a cautionary tale of what happens when you lose yourself because patriarchy forces you to center men. Okay. I think the guilt may be there. Of course it will be. That mom guilt's going to be like, but what about the baby? I swear to God, I'm not a mom, but I don't know how y'all live with that mom guilt. I swear to God. It seems like it never leaves you alone. Sorry, speaking of babies, let's look at the king baby. He's sleeping right now. That guilt, it never shuts up. That mom guilt never stops. But don't believe it always, because I swear to God, so many women, I have to talk them into doing things bare minimum to take care of themselves. Because that mom guilt or the voices of a lot of other moms are like, yeah, like very shamey. But I'll always try to override it by telling myself it's really important my daughter sees me out there too. And it's not just dad going out and doing stuff. Yes, Sarah. Okay, let's listen to Sarah. This is what I say. And this is like one of my proudest moments is when I convinced someone in my drum club who's a mom, because I was raised by a single mom. I was like, hey man, I'm telling you that please don't miss something important to you because you're afraid of your kid coming here and watching their tablet for an hour. They will see you having fun, experiencing joy, staying connected to yourself, watching you be something other than just a mom. I can't tell you how important that was for me in role modeling what a woman should be doing, what she's entitled to, which is joy, her own hobbies, stuff like that. And it took a while in that conversation, and then she came the next week, and I was like, yes. So sometimes I know child-free women, we don't have a lot that we can say to moms because we aren't moms, but you know we are. We had moms. And also our friends are moms, and we see what y'all go through, and we oftentimes can offer an outside perspective that might combat the mom guilt and hold a microphone to your intuition that is screaming at you to do some things to take care of yourself, because martyring yourself all the time is not helpful. Sometimes it's necessary. I know motherhood requires so much of you, but not all of you. Carving out time for something like this whenever you can. Please take the lesson from Sarah. Obviously, money and all kinds of other things come into this. All kinds, there's so much at play here, but I'm just saying in general, Okay, so then there's this other woman, Sabrina, who is an ultra marathon. Okay, that ultra marathon, y'all, is next level. People who do this, men who do this, gotta have if they're married, they have to have a strong wife who knows her worth and is like, no, who can stand up for herself, because these men will get it. That whole culture of it forces them to be obsessed. So I love it when I see women who do it, though. We can learn so much from women who do stuff like this. A lot of times we don't realize what we're entitled to until we see other women doing it. I have learned so much. I was like, when I see women asking for more money at work, or, like one of my best friends, literally on vacation, she wouldn't hook up with a guy. She was like, I don't really want to hook up, but I will if you go down on me. And he was like, oh, no. And she was like, okay. And I was like, oh my God, how'd you do that? A few years later, I was doing that. I would not hook up with any man who didn't eat the Kit Kat first. I was like, I can't believe you did that. And then a few years later, I was doing that. I'm telling you, we can learn so much from each other, y'all. Anyway, so she's doing all kinds of this stuff, right? And her husband Neil says it's easier now. They're two younger children and they're teens. Sabrina will often leave home at 4. See, now this is an example of a woman. This is what women do all the time. Who fits it in. When men want to run marathons, if they are not very, very thoughtful and understand time and the labor of women in their homes, they're just going to go whenever they want. Look at this. Wakes up at 4 a.m. to do these punishing runs before returning around 10 a.m. Often before the kids have even got out of bed. See, this mom knows her kids. She's like, they're going to sleep. Okay, I'm going to go hit. And it doesn't rob them of anything. And it doesn't put a lot of stress on him. So she does a lot of activism, I guess, too. So it says, how much does Sabrina's activism and training shape their lives? Quite a lot, says Neil, her husband, with some understatement. Before Christmas, I crewed for her doing the winter down 200, or whatever that means. That was 4 nights sleeping in a car. If you're going to marry a man, only marry one that would do this. Sleep in a car to support you. Like, that's the kind of energy we're looking for here. The logistics take time too, he says. It's this, oh, look at this. See, we know men can do this. They just don't want to. They can be very organized when they care about something. So look at what they can do. They claim to not know how to do it, even though they want to run the world. But look what they can do. Look what he's doing here. It's the spreadsheet and the kit testing and everything else that people don't necessarily realize. Then there's the emotional impact afterwards. It's similar to Christmas Day, he says. And after it's all finished, she says, what do we plan for now? See, this is a dude who gets it. Just like the other dude, Kit. He's repairing her bike. He's giving her emotional support for her failures and her wins, right? And he's proud of her. He's proud of her. She probably inspires him too to be a better man. I don't know about you, but I would find it very difficult to be married to somebody who is just doing so many amazing things and then just not be motivated. I would feel bad. I'd be like, dang. I mean, I'm like, when I see some of my friends do stuff, I'm like, you know what, Melanie? You can get up off your butt and do that too. Surround yourself by people who have what you want. I heard this like 2 years ago. You are the sum total, or whatever, the mean, whatever it is when you add them up and divide of the 5 closest people in your life. I mean, and I would say like that's around like friends and / partner. That's why I don't spend much time with like people who are super negative and are like victim mentality or just like, you know, naysayers and stuff. You know, I surround myself with people who have what I want and are in that mindset that I really admire and I want, because like that's why I became best friends with Liz. I was like, dang, I was jealous of her at first. I was like, ugh. And then I was like, you know what? I like how she's direct. I like how she's confident. Why would I not want to be friends with someone like that? And that woman has helped me grow more than almost pretty much anyone in my life. And apparently I've helped her grow too. I still don't understand why, but she says she learns a crap ton from me. Look at this. Look at Neil. For Neil, though, ultimately there's only pride awaiting Sabrina at the finish line. That's what I signed up for, he says, to support what she does. I love stories that have hope in it. I talk about cautionary tales all the time, but I like to see hope in the things that I do, because otherwise, what is the point of any of this? I would just want to just end it all and die now if I was just like, this sucks, this sucks. No, look at this. This is awesome. This is what men are doing. Some of them should be doing, and if they're not doing this for you, they're bringing you down. This is the energy. This man, you know, some men are so homophobic that they think it's gay to say that their wife is beautiful, that they love women. It is crazy what they have turned toxic masculinity into and how much it robs them of connection, love, and beautiful things in life. Men like this who are like, I support her, that's what I'm here for. I'll sleep in a car, I'll do whatever, because I love seeing her happy and I'm so proud of her. This is the new standard, y'all. I'm not going to go over the New York Times article because this is already long enough and I've talked about it before. But the things from that article also mention the special food. If you are dating a man or married to a man who runs a marathon, he's going to ask you to make special food or eat what he eats, which means you're going to gain a bunch of weight because a marathon runner and a non-marathon runner are not supposed to eat the same food, right? You will be planning all of your vacations doing things that fit his running. Like literally the whole vacation we planned around a marathon in another country or another state or whatever. Like there are so many ways that this man is going to force you to center him. Which is why women need to be running marathons. Force him to center you. Force him to center your time, your needs. Sometimes women are so not good at this because it's not what we were taught that we need an excuse to go to the center ourselves and our time and our needs gym. So if it needs to be a marathon or some other thing that forces you to get out of the house and do something for yourself, I'm all for it. I am all for it, because even when you think you're doing not enough, you're still probably doing too much. We're not good at this. Most of us are terrible at this, and we need practice. So we can learn from men, because most of us will never take it that far and literally abandon everyone in our family and the needs of everybody because we're interested in something. You know what I mean? So learn from them in terms of like prioritizing themselves, because that patriarchal conditioning to center everyone else is going to be so strong that you're still probably going to be doing too much, even if you're running a marathon. Doing too much for him or the family or whatever. You know what I'm saying? Anyway, I hope you enjoyed this. Please follow my Patreon. I have so many lives coming up with Daniela Mestenik-Young, the author of this amazing book, Uncultured. It is an amazing read. It is a hard read at first. It gets easier as you go on, and it's a life-changing read. Anyway, we haven't set the date yet because we keep having a conflict schedule. But one of the lawyers that went up against Larry Nassar, I'm having her on. We're going to talk about sexism within sports. We're going to talk about how just all this stuff, so much stuff. And then some of my mutuals, I'm going to have them on soon. So much. So please join the Patreon. And if you don't want to join, or you can't join on a paid tier, there is a free membership. Just so you can get notifications and see what I'm up to, and see even some fun random stuff that I post to everyone sometimes, and it'll tell you when I post things, so you can keep up with my work in case the algorithm makes you slowly forget I exist. So thank you for being here. Thanks for any comments you leave, anything at all. I love it. And let me know if you hear the comment song coming up. Welcome to the comment song, where I talk about random crap while you type a comment or hit pause and whatever. Anyway, I saw this Christmas tree on our walk today. Yes, a Christmas tree in mid-July. Muzz was interested in the Christmas tree. I honestly think this is next level. Give no fucks. Welcome to the comment song Christmas tree edition with Muzz. Of course, he decided to pee on it, 'cause he loves to pee on beautiful things and anything like flowers and even a weed plant. Anyway, here's some pictures of Muzz coming up during the comment song. We just got back from our walk, and now I'm gonna show you some cute pictures. Of course, I forgot to take the harness off before he fell asleep, and I don't want to wake him. I was gonna use the xylophone for the comment song, and then I forgot as I'm recording this. Look at that sweet baby, he's on the balcony, looking at stuff like the neighbor's dog who cries all the time. Oh, he's awake now. Uh-oh. What are you doing? He knows I'm talking about him. Oh, see. Moses gives the greatest shade looks. Comment song. He's like Please leave me alone. I just want to sleep, not perform. The comment song is ending now. I hope you type something for the comment song. Comment song. Comment song. 3, 2, 1, it's ending. 3, 2, 1, this isn't even a song. I'm just talking but singing. Comment song. Et voilà. Let me know if you heard it.